To the organizers of this important discussion, the Permanent Mission of Sri Lanka to the UN, the co-organizers, the UN Office for South-South Cooperation and the UN Development Cooperation Office, collaborating UN agencies, the Government of India representatives, and all other dignitaries, I wish you a very warm namaste from New Delhi on behalf of the UN in India. As a consistent advocate for the concerns and aspirations of the Global South, India has long played an important and growing role in international development. And as a leading proponent for South-South and triangular cooperation, in today's time of polycrisis, this leadership is perhaps more important than ever. Now the fifth largest and one of the fastest growing economies, India has emerged as a major actor in international cooperation, with South-South and triangular efforts expanding markedly in recent years. Inspired by the spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is one family, India's international development cooperation is demand-based, with close alignment with the priorities of those partner countries it is serving, while building resilience in the face of crises. For example, India reached out to 150 countries to supply medicines, vaccines, and medical equipment during the COVID pandemic, including donations to the UN COVAX facility and UN peacekeepers. And India has extended more than 300 concessional lines of credit for developmental finance to many countries facing debt distress, especially in South Asia and Africa. India's South-South cooperation has long emphasized technical cooperation, knowledge transfers, and capacity building, including via the Indian Technical and Economic Cooperation Program, ITEC, which trains civil servants from the Global South. The UN in India, including the Resident Coordinator's Office, has been honored to increasingly partner in some of these efforts. India's support also focuses on enhanced multilateral initiatives to address the climate crisis, for example, with UN partnership, such as the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure and the International Solar Alliance. The groundbreaking $150 million India-UN Development Partnership Fund, established by the Government of India together with the Office for South-South Cooperation, as well as the India-Brazil-South Africa Fund, are more examples of multilateral leadership with UN partnership. And to support these priorities from the ground, our new Government of India UN Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework, a partnership pact for the next 5 years, for the first time includes South-South cooperation as a key engagement priority. The UN country team here will bring additional added value, working together with NITI Aayog and government ministries, including the Ministry of External Affairs, to help identify and codify emerging Indian development best practice, and to share that knowledge at the international level. This is a true two-way partnership between India and the UN system, working hand in hand with the Office for South-South Cooperation, as well as UN system colleagues in partner third countries. We therefore welcome the new guidelines for mainstreaming South-South and triangular cooperation in both country level and regional frameworks, which is very much the spirit of our new cooperation framework and can help add significant value for delivering as one UN family. This also aligns with India's leadership in helping develop a conceptual framework for measuring South-South cooperation and the relevant SDG indicator. Now, India is also using the G20 presidency as a platform to amplify the voices and priorities of the Global South and to share its own good practices that can benefit other developing nations, such as vaccine technologies, digital public goods, women-led development, financial inclusion, the Indian model of SDG localization, and the Lifestyles for Environment or LIFE nudging framework, which the UN Secretary General Guterres helped launch with Prime Minister Modi here last October. And the timing is critical. Sharing these best practices and having achieved agreement on a new G20 SDG Acceleration Action Plan will provide much needed momentum as we head into the SDG Summit in New York, just days after the G20 Summit in Delhi. Dear colleagues, India's G20 presidency has been so aligned with the 2030 agenda, I like to call it an SDG 20, leadership we need at this challenging moment in history to build partnerships and find collective solutions with South-South and triangular cooperation at the core, playing a greater role than ever before. Thank you very much. Bahut dhanyavad.